at Spencer Publications, power was currency and truth was a weapon. Bill Spencer had built his empire not on kindness or fairness, but on precision, control, and ruthless instincts. So when the smallest detail slipped through the cracks, a forgotten tin of peppermint candy in a women's conference room after an event, he didn't ignore it. He picked it up, examined it, and recognized the brand. It was imported, niche, and rare. And more importantly, it belonged to Poppy Nozawa. She had used that exact tin during their private meetings, her fingers habitually reaching for the mints every time she dodged a question. Bill hadn't thought much of it before. But lately, the question of Luna's parentage had returned to the surface, like a dormant volcano beginning to stir. Too many glances. Too many inconsistencies. Too many calculated silences when the subject came up. And Bill had a feeling, one of those gut-deep instincts he couldn't ignore. That Luna wasn't just another young intern caught in the whirlwind of Forrester Spencer drama. She was family. His family. So he ran the DNA test. He didn't ask for permission. He didn't even tell anyone. He had one of his private labs extract trace DNA from the rim of the mint tin and compare it to the sample he had kept from Luna, an innocent result of a Spencer-sponsored health screening event months earlier. And the result shattered the ground beneath him. 99.98% probability. He was Luna's father. Not Thomas. Not some long-gone one-night stand. Not a faceless shadow from Poppy's past. It was him. William Spencer. The bloodline was his. And Poppy had known all along. He confronted her the next day. They met in the penthouse suite of the Beverly Grand, neutral territory, but it felt like a battleground. Poppy arrived composed, polished, the image of elegance. But the moment she saw Bill's face, she knew something had shifted. "I know," he said simply, holding up the test results like a death sentence. She didn't speak. "You lied to me. You lied to her. You robbed me of 20 years with my daughter. And now you expect me to stay silent." Her voice barely trembled. "I did what I thought was right at the time." He stepped closer, eyes burning. "What you thought was right. You took my child and built a fantasy life around your own shame. That ends now." Poppy's calm cracked. "You don't understand what it would have meant back then. You were married. You were ruthless. You would have taken her from me the second you knew." He didn't deny it. "You're damn right I would have. And I still might." That's when she realized how far he would go. Bill didn't want closure. He wanted control. Of Luna. Of the narrative. Of everything. "I'm going public," he said. Press release. Full confirmation. DNA proof. I'll introduce her as a Spencer at the next charity gala. Front page, every outlet. And you? You'll be the mother who lied to protect herself. You'll destroy her," Poppy snapped. "No," he said coldly. "I'll rebuild her. Under my name. With my resources. As my daughter, but not as herself," Poppy replied bitterly. "You'll own her. Just like you own everyone you touch." That truth cut deep, but Bill didn't flinch. He had already begun preparing the press campaign. Marketing had mock-ups of the announcement. Legal had vetted the language. And public relations had strict NDAs ready for everyone who knew. He wasn't bluffing. He wasn't hesitating. Luna would know. The world would know. And Poppy Nozawa's carefully curated life, the composed single mother with no baggage, would implode. What Bill hadn't predicted, however, was Luna. The moment she found out, the war shifted. Luna didn't scream. She didn't cry. She went silent. She locked herself in her apartment and didn't return calls. Days passed. She ignored Bill. She ignored Poppy. She ignored everyone. When she finally reemerged, it was at Spencer headquarters, uninvited, unannounced. She walked straight into Bill's office and shut the door behind her. You should have come to me first, she said. He stood, caught off guard. I'm your father, Luna. I had a right to know. And I had a right to find out on my own terms. Her voice was low but cutting. For the first time, she looked like a Spencer. Steel in her spine. Fire in her gaze. I'm not a prize. I'm not a statement. And I'm not a tool to correct your regrets. Bill stepped toward her. I'm trying to give you the life you deserve. I can give you everything. I had everything, she cut in. A mother who loved me. A name that meant freedom. You think slapping your last name on me will make me whole? Bill paused. I can't undo what Poppy did, he said finally. But I won't lose you now. She turned to leave. You already did, she said. The moment you turned this into a campaign. The press release was shelved. PR backtracked. Legal went quiet. But the damage was already rippling through LA society. Rumors exploded. Was Luna truly a Spencer? Had Poppy lied all along? Who else knew? Rivals circled like sharks. Media outlets stalked the family. Even Katie, Bill's ex-wife, voiced concerns. She confronted Bill in his office days later. You don't get to rewrite history just because you uncovered a secret, she said. Luna's not another project. She's not like Liam or Wyatt. She's not going to fall into line because of a name. She's mine, Bill growled. No, Katie corrected. She's hers, and if you can't see that, you'll lose her forever. Meanwhile, Poppy faced a social firestorm. Clients dropped her. Her wellness brand took a hit. Friends distanced themselves. All those years of grace, of image control, of high-end branding burned to ash. But she didn't fight back. Not with lawsuits. Not with interviews. She just focused on Luna. Every night she waited outside Luna's door. Every morning she left notes. One day, she just sat on the sidewalk for hours. No words. Just waiting. Eventually, Luna opened the door. I don't forgive you, she said. I know. But I still love you. Tears welled. The silence between them wasn't healed. But it was breached. What Bill didn't know, what no one knew, was that Luna wasn't walking away from him completely. She had Spencer blood, yes. But she also had his instinct. She began doing her own digging. Her own reading. Her own strategizing. And quietly, carefully, she began building something of her own. Not Poppy's name. Not Spencer's. Hers, because being a Spencer meant learning how to survive power games. But surviving wasn't enough anymore. She wanted to win. And next time, when the next blow came, it wouldn't be Luna caught in the storm. It would be her calling the lightning. The wedding was perfect. By design, not by destiny. The Forrester estate glowed under soft candlelight, with walls draped in ivory and blush florals, every detail curated to precision. Photographers from Fashion House, Mode L, and Runway West milled in the background, capturing what was meant to be the union of the season. Hope Logan and Carter Walton, the unexpected but dazzling couple everyone suddenly wanted to believe in. Hope wore custom Forrester, her veil cascading like silk mist behind her. Carter, polished and regal, stood tall at the altar. The music swelled. The guests held their breath. Steffi watched from the front row, face composed, hands folded, eyes locked on the ceremony like a general watching a successful campaign unfold. Because this wasn't just a wedding, it was a maneuver. Then the doors exploded open. Daphne, she didn't walk. She stormed like lightning slicing through glass. Her heels clicked like gunshots against the marble aisle as heads turned, gasps erupted, and the music screeched to a halt. She was breathless, wild-eyed, but undeniable. No one had seen her in nearly a year, not since she disappeared to Paris after her scandal with the Spencers. Rumors said she'd overdosed. Others claimed she'd run off with a billionaire. But here she was, very much alive, and holding a grudge bigger than the altar she now disrupted. "This is a lie," she screamed. Hope froze mid-step. Carter instinctively placed himself between her and the crowd. "She's being played," Daphne cried, finger jabbing in the air. "This whole wedding, it's not love. It's manipulation. Steffi designed this." The guests murmured, confused. Steffi stood, furious. "Get her out of here." But Daphne didn't flinch. She wanted Hope out of Liam's life. So she fed her this fantasy. Built it, brick by brick. Gave Carter the spotlight. Whispered in Hope's ear until she believed she had moved on. "But it's fake. It's all fake." Hope stared, frozen, her mind scrambling to catch up with the whirlwind unraveling in front of her. "She made you think you were done with Liam. But you're not. You never were." And she made sure Carter was right there to pick up the pieces. Steffi pushed forward. "You're unstable, Daphne. You've always been unwell." Daphne's eyes locked on hers. "You made me this way." Then she reached into her coat. Screams. Security moved. The gun cleared her jacket. Hope shouted. Carter lunged. A gunshot cracked like thunder inside the marble walls. Carter fell. Hope screamed. Blood spread across the white of Carter's shirt like a red flower blooming. The crowd erupted into chaos. Chairs overturned. Glass shattered. Security tackled Daphne to the ground as she screamed, sobbing now, the gun sliding from her grasp. "I didn't mean to shoot him. I just wanted them to see the truth." But the damage was done. Carter lay on the altar steps, unmoving. Hope knelt beside him, hands shaking, pressing against the wound. Guests scrambled. Medics were called. Reporters live-streamed the horror as the wedding became a headline soaked in blood. The Forrester PR team shut down cameras, blocked reporters, and locked down the estate, but the video had already gone viral. Millions watched as Daphne's accusation tore through the fashion world like wildfire. Asterisk, was the Hope Carter romance just a Forrester PR stunt? Asterisk, asterisk, did Steffi manipulate her rival into a fake marriage? Asterisk, asterisk, gunfire at the altar. Has Forrester gone too far? Asterisk, inside Forrester Creations, chaos brewed. Ridge slammed doors in meetings. Eric threatened lawsuits. Steffi was grilled by board members and fashion editors alike. Her carefully crafted image as a visionary CEO began to crack. The timing, the sudden shift in Hope's love life, the way Steffi had guided everything. It all looked damning now, but it was Hope who suffered the most. Carter was rushed into surgery. The bullet missed his heart by inches, but fractured 2 ribs and punctured a lung. He survived, but barely. And while he healed, the truth bled into every corner of Hope's mind. Was it real? Was she in love? Or had Steffi really pulled the strings to sever her from Liam forever? She confronted Steffi days later, in her office. The cameras were off. The doors locked. "Tell me the truth," Hope said. Steffi didn't blink. "What truth?" "That you orchestrated this wedding. That you used Carter. That you used me." Steffi stood slowly. "I gave you what you needed. A clean break. A future. Liam was never going to stop breaking you." Hope's eyes narrowed. "You didn't give me anything. You stole my agency. You fed me a fantasy so you could get what you wanted." Steffi's voice stayed cold. "And what did you want, Hope? Another decade of being second to my brother? Another round of heartbreak?" Hope snapped. "You don't get to rewrite my life. You don't get to weaponize my healing." But the damage was done. Trust was shattered. Loyalty burned. And Liam? He stood at the edge of all this destruction, watching silently as the woman he once loved tried to rebuild her life from a wreckage he no longer controlled. When he finally visited Carter in recovery, the silence between them was thick. "You're lucky," Liam said. She cared about you. Carter turned his head. That's not what it felt like. What did it feel like? Like I was a solution, not a partner. Liam nodded. You weren't the only one. Daphne, arrested and awaiting trial, became the new obsession of the tabloids. Psychiatric evaluations, charges of attempted murder, leaked voice memos of her phone calls from Paris. Her rambling accusations took on a cult following, people who believed Steffi had engineered Hope's entire emotional reboot. Forrester stock dipped. Steffi was forced to step down from public appearances. Ridge tried to take control of the messaging, but nothing landed. Not after the world saw blood soak the altar. Not after the headlines wrote themselves. And Hope? She disappeared. No press. No statements. Just silence. Until 1 month later. She returned, not to the runway. Not to Liam. Not to Carter. But to her own name. Hope for the future, the line she'd abandoned, relaunched under a private LLC. No Forrester funding. No Spencer distribution. Just her. Her vision. Her designs. Her truth. Her first campaign tagline, asterisk, no more scripts. No more strings. Asterisk, and the fashion world listened. Because in a city that traded in illusions, Hope Logan had survived a staged love, a public shooting, and a personal betrayal, and walked out not as a bride, but as a force. And Steffi? She watched from the sidelines as the empire she thought she controlled spun out of her grasp. Because when you play God with people's hearts, eventually, one of them picks up a gun.
Oh.